Look at your phone for a second, not the messages, not the apps. Look at your camera roll. What do you actually see there? Is it selfies, food photos, random screenshots you never delete? Or is it something else entirely? For a lot of people, it's hundreds, sometimes thousands, of photos of a creature that isn't human. Dogs in sweaters, cats sleeping in impossible positions, a face you can recognize instantly, even in the dark. And maybe you've noticed something strange about the way you feel when you look at those photos. It doesn't feel casual. It feels personal, protective, almost parental. We live in a world with strollers for dogs and birthday parties for cats, and people love to laugh at that. But here's the uncomfortable truth most never say out loud. Your brain isn't joking. It isn't playing pretend. It's doing something very real. Some people hear this and immediately say it's silly. They assume loving a pet like a child is just emotional role play, a substitute, a story people tell themselves. But psychology doesn't agree with that assumption. When you look at your dog, your cat, or any animal you're deeply bonded to, your brain releases oxytocin, the same bonding hormone released when a parent looks at their newborn child. The brain does not pause to check species. It reacts to attachment, vulnerability, and familiarity. That warm rush you feel, that sense of calm mixed with protectiveness, that's not imagination. That's chemistry. If we could scan your brain in that moment, the pattern would look almost identical to a parent looking at their own kid. This isn't a metaphor. It's a biological response. So when people say, it's just a pet, what they're really saying is that they don't understand how attachment works. Your nervous system already made its decision. Here's where the difference between human children and pets quietly changes everything. If you raise a human child, the entire goal of parenting is separation. You teach them to walk so they can walk away. You teach them to speak so they can disagree with you. You pour years of love into someone you are slowly preparing to lose to independence. That's the unspoken grief built into human parenting. But a pet doesn't follow that script. A pet never outgrows needing you. They don't move out. Don't form a life where you become optional. Don't wake up one day and decide they no longer need your protection. They stay in that dependent, toddler-like state forever. For someone who carries a fear of abandonment, or someone whose nervous system craves stability, this kind of bond feels profoundly safe. The relationship doesn't evolve away from you. It freezes in closeness. And that sense of permanence isn't weakness. It's relief. Have you ever looked at your pet and felt something almost overwhelming, a sudden urge to squeeze them, bite them, or laugh because you can't handle how cute they are? That strange mix of affection and intensity isn't random. Psychology calls it cute aggression, and it happens when your brain is flooded with more attachment emotion than it can comfortably process. The reason goes even deeper, into something called the baby schema. Humans are biologically wired to protect beings with big eyes, round faces, small noses, and clumsy movements. Evolution coded this response into us to keep infants alive. Human children eventually grow out of these features. Their faces sharpen, their bodies change. Your pet never does. They remain in a permanent state of baby to your brain. Every time you look at them, that ancient protective system switches on automatically, releasing oxytocin and reinforcing the bond without your permission. This is where attachment theory quietly enters the picture. Human relationships, especially parental ones, are complicated by growth. Children learn language, and with language comes judgment. They learn independence, and with independence comes distance. Loving a human child means accepting that one day they will have the power to leave you emotionally, even if they don't mean to. A pet doesn't develop that kind of psychological distance. They don't evaluate you. They don't resent you. They don't reinterpret your past mistakes. They offer attachment without the threat of rejection. For people who have experienced abandonment, emotional inconsistency, or conditional love, this kind of bond feels like oxygen. And if this idea makes you slightly uncomfortable, pause for a second. That discomfort might be recognition. It might be your nervous system realizing how rare it is to feel safe without being evaluated. With a pet, the relationship stays in the honeymoon phase, not because it's shallow, but because it's stable. There's another layer to this bond that people don't like to talk about, because it sounds less romantic, but it's deeply human. Control. Raising a human being is chaotic. You can do everything right and still lose influence. They make their own choices, take their own risks, and sometimes move in directions you can't follow. A pet is different. You choose what they eat, when they sleep, where they go, and who they interact with. That control isn't about dominance. It's about safety. For people living in an unpredictable world, stressful jobs, unstable relationships, constant noise, caring for a pet becomes a small universe that makes sense. When everything else feels out of control, this one living being thrives because of you. And that feeling can be incredibly grounding. Not everyone loves their pet like a child for the same reason, even if it looks the same from the outside. Some people are guardians. They worry constantly. They double-check doors, watch cameras while they're at work, panic over a single cough or sneeze. Psychology often links this to high empathy paired with high anxiety. When their pet is safe, their nervous system finally relaxes. Others are deep bonders. They talk to their pets, confide in them, and genuinely feel understood. A quiet night at home with their dog feels more nourishing than a crowded room full of people. These are often introverts, thinkers, people who crave depth over stimulation. Then there are the healers, the ones who rescued an animal that was scared, neglected, or broken in some way. By saving them, they're restoring something inside themselves. Each type is different, but they all share one thing: an excess of caregiving energy that needed somewhere to go. And that energy didn't disappear just because life didn't turn out the way they expected. This is the quiet center of the entire story, even if most people never consciously notice it. When you talk to your pet, listen to the tone of your own voice. You're so good. You're so smart. You're okay. I'm here. Now ask yourself something gently, without judgment. Did anyone ever talk to you like that when you were small? For many people, the answer is no. Psychology calls what happens next repairing. By giving your pet patience, safety, and unconditional affection, you're often recreating the childhood environment you needed but didn't receive. Every toy you buy, every moment you sit with them during a thunderstorm, every time you reassure them that they're safe, you're also reassuring a younger version of yourself. You are proving to your nervous system that you know how to protect, nurture, and stay. This isn't projection in a harmful sense. It's healing in motion. And it's one of the most emotionally mature things a person can do, even if it looks simple from the outside. Because we love them like children, we grieve them like children. And this is where many people feel confused or even ashamed. When a pet dies, society often minimizes the pain. It was just a dog. You can get another one, but the brain doesn't process it that way. You didn't just lose an animal. You lost a daily source of oxytocin, a routine, a presence that organized your emotional life. You lost the one being that witnessed your private moments without judgment. Psychology calls this disenfranchised grief, a loss that isn't socially recognized, which makes it even harder to heal. The silence afterward feels heavy because something that depended on you completely is suddenly gone. And your pain is real, whether anyone else understands it or not. For most of human history, family was about survival, bloodlines, and obligation. Today, it's increasingly about connection. In a world that feels faster, colder, and more demanding than ever, people are choosing bonds that feel safe, mutual, and emotionally honest. If you call your pet your child, you're not confused. You're adapting. You're participating in a quiet shift where love, not biology, defines family. There is a deep emotional maturity in looking at a creature that cannot speak, that doesn't look like you, and saying, "You are mine, and I will protect you." So, don't let anyone make you feel foolish for the way you love. You're not filling a void. You're expressing capacity. And if there's someone waiting for you at the door every night, tail wagging or eyes half closed in trust, then you already understand the truth. Family is whoever makes you feel like you belong,